So fiber, just taking it from the top, and I'm not talking about the supplement here. I'm talking about fiber as it exists in nature. Fiber is a part of plants. They all have it. Every single plant has a mix of fiber, and the plants have a monopoly. This is where you will find fiber, and if you want to get it, this is where you have to go to get it, is the plant. Now, there are many different types of fiber. We have no clue how many types of fiber exist in nature. We have no clue. There's not even an estimate because it's so structurally complex. I mean, I'll spare you guys the biochemistry nerding out crud, but just suffice it to say that fiber is not fiber. Counting grams is not the same. Source matters a lot. And when we start to think about fiber for simplicity's sake, given the complexity of the whole thing, we start to break it down into two main categories. And that is soluble fiber, which basically means that if you stir it up in a beverage, it will actually disappear, it will dissolve. And insoluble fiber, which is the roughage, which is the stuff that's always gritty and it will never dissolve no matter whether you boil it or no matter what you do. You know, they have a little bit different properties. We have been taught that fiber goes in the mouth and it goes through the intestine and it launches out the other end like a torpedo. Like that's what we've been taught. And that is probably a fair way of describing insoluble fiber. That's what happens. But soluble fiber is like the secret of nutrition that people are not talking about, and they should. And the reason why is because soluble fiber is prebiotic. People have heard of probiotics, which are the live, active microorganisms, and I know that they've been discussed on your show many times, so I won't belabor your audience. This is the prebiotic. And the prebiotic is what feeds and nourishes the healthy microbes. Every type of fiber that exists is going to feed these microbes. It passes through the small intestine untouched, unsullied. By the way, for you guys listening at home, if you wonder about resistant starch, the story that I'm about to describe is exactly the same with resistant starch. Resistant starch is not fiber, but the story is the same. They're both prebiotic and they behave the same way. So resistant starch is actually a form of starch. It's not actually a fiber, which is a different chemical structure. But resistant starch is not digested by our intestines. So, other starches are broken down very quickly and can be broken into sugar molecules. We think of starch as of course, like potatoes or spaghetti, like macaroni or things like that. Resistant starch does not get broken down. Resistant starch passes all the way through the intestine. Now, you'll find resistant starch in a lot of places. White potatoes are actually a great source. Like people who just, trash white potatoes, there's no nutritional value there. It's actually a fantastic source of resistant starch. So whether we're talking about soluble fiber or resistant starch, it passes through the small intestine, unsullied, enters into the colon. This is where the microbes live. I know that your listeners already know this. The colon is the predominant place for your microbiome. 38 trillion in this location of bacteria. They get into a feeding frenzy and they basically just devour this food. This is their food, not ours. This is theirs. They devour it, chew it up. They get stronger. They multiply. There's more of these anti-inflammatory microbes. And then what they do is they turn around and they pay us back by releasing what I think is the biggest secret in all of nutrition, which are short-chain fatty acids, butyrate, acetate, and propionate. And I'm happy to talk more about them, but before we go anywhere like that, just know every type of fiber is unique. This is the general way that it works. The soluble fiber is prebiotic. That's the general way that it works. But every type of fiber feeds different microbes. They're not all eating the same fiber. And so that makes it unique because every plant has its own mix of fiber. If every type of fiber feeds different microbes, if every plant feeds different microbes, then what we have identified is that one of the ways that we can support many different types of microbes is with different types of plants because they have different types of fiber, diversity.